Hello, welcome back. Or if you're new, my name is Delian. This is the channel where we explore becoming the main character of our own stories by developing self-acceptance, self-awareness, and self-authorship. And one of my favorite ways that we do that is through astrology. And today I'm going to be talking about Jupiter through the signs and the houses. And I've been looking forward to this video a ton because I think that Jupiter needs a little nuancing in the astrology world, because it's been tagged as like where we get lucky and have abundance. And while I think it's true, I don't think people are telling us why or how we can access that energy, which is what I'm going to go through in this video. So first things first, if you find this content valuable, I would love it if you would comment, like, or subscribe. It helps the channel immensely. I am really excited about what this channel might become, and those three things are incredibly helpful. I had no idea how helpful they were until I started this channel. So yes, please like, comment, subscribe. When I'll have timestamps down below for all of the signs and houses. So when you go look at yours, please let me know what your thoughts are. Give me your comments about what's resonating for you, what you would nuance. I will also be talking about how you can incorporate this into your personal style. So I'll have that at the end of each house and sign section in case you're here from the style groups. Hello, hi, I'm so glad you're here. And what else do I want to say before I start? Oh, it's thunderstorming here. So if you hear loud cracks of thunder, that's just going to be a part of the video, and I am here for it. I love thunderstorms. Okay, anything else that I say before we start? I think that's pretty good for now. I grab a cup of coffee, something warm, a journal if you want, or if you're like me and you're like walking or doing chores or something at the same time. Yeah, just get ready, buckle in. I'm excited. So I want to start with talking about Jupiter and my theory and how I read Jupiter, and how sometimes I think this might have more of an effect on your style for all of you style girlies than Venus. So Jupiter is the planet that shows us what our core philosophy is in this lifetime. So Jupiter is the ruler of Sagittarius, and to me that means it's about understanding our own truth, our philosophy, what we're here, like what the undercurrent belief we're here to really embrace is. And I think those people who are just like automatically lucky in life. So I saw something yesterday about Tom Holland, who plays Spider-Man, who has he's in the Odyssey movie that's coming out, where there's all of these clips at different times in his career when he was younger, when people would ask him a question like, who do you really hope that you get to work with? What's your dream roles and stuff? And like, he starts naming things, and it's giving clips of him getting those things later in the future. And I think, I don't know what his chart is, but I will bet you that he has fully embraced whatever his Jupiter placement is. So if you're into manifesting or being in that idea, I think that manifesting is simply being in an energetic space where like attracts like. And Jupiter, I think, shows us a lot of the energy we're here to embrace, that philosophy we're here to embrace, that allows life to kind of flow. So be on the lookout for those sorts of things in this video as well. And I'm really excited about this one. I've been waiting to do this one because I have so many thoughts about it. Okay, that's my take on Jupiter. Is there anything else I'm missing about Jupiter? I'm sure that I'll say a lot more as I go through, but yeah, let's go ahead and start. I'm going to start with Aries / the first house. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to talk a little bit. I'm going to talk a little bit about how you can incorporate understanding both your house and your sign if your Jupiter is in two different places, which is generally the case. You generally don't have a Jupiter in Cancer and the fourth house. Usually you'll have like Jupiter in Cancer in the 8th house, right? And those two things create a certain flavor. And I think sometimes this is why getting a reading can be kind of helpful, because that's something like I can do really, really quickly. I think that that's just one of the gifts I have, is being able to say, oh, okay, I understand based on what I'm seeing here how these two energies come together for this particular person, and showcase, how that works. But I want to share a little bit so that if you don't get a reading from me, you can start understanding it and doing this on your own. So when you see that your Jupiter is in a sign, which is usually what we look at first, I like thinking about that as the style of the room. So imagine that you have a house, and that house is yourself, and then you have a part of you that's Jupiter. But that house has a bunch of rooms in it, and everybody has a Pisces, Aquarius, Capricorn room. We all have all of the rooms, right? So imagine your Aries room. It's like bright, it's got lots of windows, there's like, your senses are alive in this room. But then let's just say that your Aries lines up with the 10th house. It's going to be designed in a way that is very Capricorn-esque. And you can imagine how those two energies coming together in your personal house creates a certain vibe that's very distinct. So it might be full of, again, it's still designed, it's an Aries room designed with Capricorn type of things in it. So some ideas that come to mind metaphorically are lots of windows, lots of light, lots of sensory sort of things that are exciting, lots of bright colors or lighter colors, maybe even some youthful energy in there. And then you have Capricorn things, which is like, this might be also your office, right? This is where you get things done. This is the place where you study and you create your list, so that maybe there's journals. Maybe it's also the library, although I would associate that more with a Sagittarius room. But anything that is the work you do, think about those items being in this room of Aries. And this is how I think about the energy of when you see, again, perhaps your Jupiter is in Taurus and the 8th house. Imagine that the room, as designed as a Taurus room, and I always think of a hobbit hole for Taurus sort of things, but then it's being used for the 8th house things. So like psychology, deep, dark, sort of like magical taboo. So it's those two energies coming together in the design of that room. And then you think about, okay, the parts of me, the planets that are me, what parts of me naturally live in this room? Maybe it's your Jupiter, right? How you naturally experience, like what your life philosophy is, and therefore how you experience ease and abundance. That part of you is in this Taurus Scorpio room, which means this is the embodiment of that particular part of you. And that is how I like putting those two things together. I'm going to do a video where I actually go through a chart and show you how I would read a chart, breaking it all down, and also talking about how to incorporate those things in a very practical way, both in life in general, but also in style. So be on the lookout for that. I may be looking for a volunteer for somebody who'd be willing to give me their chart. Somebody I haven't done a reading for already, because I'd like it to be somebody I don't have any idea of what they look like or know anything about, because that actually makes it a lot easier for me. So if you're interested, feel free to comment that. And okay, now we will get started. We will get started with Aries in the first house. Jupiter here is going to have a life philosophy around being able to, like, the life philosophy might be something like, I'm here to do and fail, experience, do, fail, experience. And that if you don't let yourself live in that life philosophy, this is when Jupiter will do extreme things in order to get you back on the path of truth. So let's just say that you have your Jupiter here in Aries of the first house, and the life philosophy for this position, as I would read it, is something along the lines of, I am here to experience, be in touch with my senses, to follow the sparks, that I am here to, again, do and fail, and learn, right? Because it's a learning sign. You're here to throw yourself out there, figure it out. And that does, the success for Jupiter and Aries is literally falling and getting back up. Think about a little kid who's like exploring the world for their first time. That is the core philosophy for a Jupiter, Aries, or first house. Follow your sparks, follow your senses. Be willing to fail a lot and look at failing not as failure, but as success. And so if you're not living in that philosophy, Jupiter does this real fun thing. It's a real fun thing where it goes to crazy extremes in order to get you back on the path. This is when we start seeing big swings in our own behaviors. We're like, why are we doing this? Because Jupiter wants you to get on the path of following your core philosophy. And so if you don't allow for that, it will like throw things sideways. Jupiter is not just like luck. It is, let me do the big thing in order to make you see what you need to see. And sometimes that hurts, but it's always to bring you back to seeing what it is you need to see. And if you're not living based on this philosophy, I think this is when we see Jupiter ramp up its energy a lot in terms of those big swings that seem erratic. Why am I doing this? Why am I behaving this way? I know somebody who the Jupiter transiting hit the most intense part of their chart and they quit their job that day. They, of course, did not know that that was happening. I went back and looked, and the day that they, like out of nowhere, quit their job and changed their life direction, Jupiter was hitting the most intense area of their chart. That's the stuff Jupiter does in order to get you realigned with, again, your life path, your life truth, your life philosophy. So it's really important to know your life philosophy, because this is how we can get authorship of our own lives. Because as you work and develop yourself so that you can live in that philosophy for an Aries first house, I'm here to experience my senses, to follow my spark, to try and fail and do better and learn more about who I am and like what it means to like live, to be excited about life. And the more you live in that, then Jupiter gets to use its more extreme energies towards saying, oh, let's just make life flow and be abundant and lucky and full of ease. Even when life is hard, there's an ease that happens because you're living in that centered foundational core philosophy that is in your energetic blueprint of your birth chart. So in terms of style, this is what I would say why understanding your Jupiter is so important to being able to develop your personal style. Because if you don't know that core philosophy, and for you in Jupiter, the first house in Aries, something like I follow my senses, I'm in touch with what brings me excitement, makes me feel more alive, I am allowed to try and fail and figure out something new and continue to nuance it based on all of these experiences I'm going through. If you understand that about yourself and you are able to approach your personal style with this in mind, I think this is when personal style gets easy. And I think this is something a lot of us, as I know we talk about in our style groups, is really difficult at times. It's like, okay, why is this so hard to figure out? Well, I think that one of the ways we can make it easy is just by getting in touch with this core philosophy. And again, like I was saying earlier, go and see if your Jupiter is in a different house or sign as well. And you can take the two things that I'm sharing in this video and bring them together and see what that philosophy looks like for you. Okay, and let me know if you want to share it, whether it's here on YouTube or maybe in the Facebook groups. Let me know. I would love to hear what that is for you. And again, for life, for your style, that sense of ease for you with Jupiter here, I think it's going to be something like being in touch with what makes you feel more alive and letting yourself fail. Like, it's not about having it figured out. You're here to be in the figuring it out. And that is a part of the joy of life, and to be in that wonder and excitement that this is what you get to experience in this lifetime. Okay, I'm going to take a sip of coffee and then we will go into Taurus and the second house. Okay, so here with Taurus in the second house, we're going to start seeing like a philosophy that has to do with abundance. So I believe that if you have your Jupiter here in Taurus, you're here to experience and accept resources, abundance, pleasure, the pleasure of like the physical world and material resources, right? So like your environment, the clothing you wear. This is why a lot of Taurus energy gets associated with luxury, because it is about pleasure, which often is associated with luxury. It doesn't have to be. Knowing what your version of pleasure is important. And so one of the things that I would say is that your life philosophy is going to have something to do with believing in your own sense of stability and enoughness. That I think that if you live in a narrative, and that core truth of I have enough, I have the resources available to me that bring me pleasure. I think like little practices too for a Jupiter and Taurus is like, when you have a bite of chocolate, savor it. Oh yes, this is it. Savoring life is what this life philosophy is about. And when you don't, if you cut yourself off from that, which I think happens for a lot of people, this is when we start seeing extremes. So for a Jupiter Taurus, those extremes could look like over-attachment to resources, because you might not have that core philosophy that there is enough, that you are maybe even allowed to savor. And so there can be a hoarding or holding on, or an overindulgence. Or I actually think Jupiter might be, in order to get you to wake up, again, Jupiter likes working in extremes. And if you're not letting yourself savor the goodness in life, the pleasures in life, then you may notice that you go to an extreme of being like, life is not to be enjoyed at all, right? And I think that what Jupiter likes to do is to go like, okay, so they're not hearing the truth. Let's take them to an extreme place of the opposite end, so they realize that's definitely not true, right? So that you can come closer to that foundation. So again, there could be overindulgence, and you'll realize that doesn't quite work, or over hoarding, or cutting yourself off completely from the joys, the pleasure, the I think that Taurus has there's sensuality here, because you want to enjoy with your senses. Like, you want to taste it. You want to, again, I'm just coming back over and over to like savoring the pleasure of life. And when you get into that space where you deserve it, you deserve it. And this is another thing, I didn't say this for the Aries in the first house part, but like, I think a part of the life philosophy is it's not just like how you believe, what you believe about yourself, but like, this is what you believe for the world. You believe that everyone should be able to enjoy and savor and be able to experience the goodness of life. And when you let yourself live in that space, I think that this is when Jupiter's like, yay, they get it. It's happening. Let's just continue giving them more and more of that energy of where life just kind of allows for you to live in that space. This is where you start experiencing what I would think is that sense of flowing with your life, which is what I think Jupiter wants for us. So in terms of style, if you're not letting yourself experience style from a space of savoring it, feeling luxurious or abundant, or I do like associating safety with Taurus, but I think that if you feel abundant, if you allow yourself to feel well resourced, if you allow yourself to feel like you have enough, that is the safety that I think Taurans are looking for. And so when you approach your style, and if you notice that your Jupiter is here and Taurus are the second house, and you're not, it's like your style feels a little stuck, are you letting yourself actually savor your outfits? Do you savor what you do with your hair, your makeup, the clothing you're putting on your body? Do you luxuriate in the fabric? And here's the thing, this is what's fun. You may have all of the things already in your closet that fit this. You're just not letting yourself experience it. This is something I've been noticing for myself, is that a lot of times it's not actually whether or not I have the clothes that work. If you're a part of the Style Systems Facebook groups, then chances are you already know so much about what works for you. And the missing piece is something more internal. And so Jupiter in the second house, are you letting yourself luxuriate in your clothing that you already have? Are you sensing what it's like and savoring it and letting yourself believe that you are allowed to have enough, that you are allowed to experience the pleasures of the material world? And I think this is what's really fun, because I think that Jupiter is Jupiter's also a teacher. I think out of all of the planets, the parts of us that are true teachers, I think Chiron and Jupiter are like our top ones. Chiron teaches through healing our inner wound, and Jupiter is like, you teach from this core philosophy. And when you allow yourself to live in the energy of your Jupiter placement, this is when we start seeing you give everyone else permission to also live in this energy as well. And I think this is what Jupiter wants. I think Jupiter wants everybody to be experiencing abundance, or really the energy of each of these signs, right? This is my theory. This is what I believe. So we'll see if it tracks. Anything else I want to say? If you also have your placement here and you have struggled with style, notice if you go to extremes in shopping tendencies. Maybe there's times when you're like, I have to get rid of everything. And there's times where you're like, I have to buy this entire new wardrobe in order to feel like I have enough, or things like that. I think a lot of personal style has to start with the personal part. We have to get in touch with who we are, what we want, how we work. That's why we're here doing these videos, so that we can incorporate who we are, understanding and having the self-acceptance, so that we can utilize the awareness we've gotten through these style systems, and then really take both of those things and move into the authorship of creating the life we want for ourselves and the style we want for ourselves. Okay, I will move off my soapbox. Let's go into Jupiter and Gemini in the third house. I love Jupiter here. First of all, you probably talk a lot, or you don't talk at all, depending on if you're in. One of the things you might notice is that you may just over communicate at times, or under communicate at times, depending on if you're in the alignment piece of your Jupiter. But Jupiter in Gemini, or the third house, is here to express, to communicate, to learn, to divulge information and to share it with. It's oftentimes with, the idea is peers, because it rules, this represents siblings and stuff, but it's really it's being able to grow and communicate alongside other people in close proximity. And I think that if you are not letting yourself learn, be excited about learning. So Jupiter and Gemini, I'm like so giddy about this. I feel like Jupiter loves being here. And it's because it's like you get to follow all of those things you want to learn. If you are somebody who like jumps from lots of different topics, that's great. I think that's what you're here to do. You're here to absorb information. But the other thing is, you need to make sure you're communicating it in some way. You're sharing it in some way. If you're not writing about it and sharing it with others, this is when you're going to start seeing some potential blocks, I think. Whenever I see Jupiter and Gemini or the third house, I'm like, this person is probably writing or probably speaking in some format because this is something that you have a natural gift for. I think Jupiter also shows us where we have our natural gifts. Because clearly, if your Jupiter is here, and based on how I read charts, this is your energetic blueprint of the main character of who you are in this story, you are here to allow yourself to be curious. That's it. It's like curiosity expanded. And when you either don't feel like you're allowed to be curious, that you have to know the answers, this is when Jupiter might take you to some extremes in order to get you back on the path, because the philosophy is something along the lines of you are here to be curious and to learn and to share what you have learned. And if that's not an energy you're allowing yourself to exist in, Jupiter's going to do some funky things. It's going to be like, okay, let's just in order for you to like wake up, that's the thing, like Jupiter wants you to wake up. And sometimes if you're asleep to your core philosophy, if you're asleep to this part of you, then it's going to allow yourself to exist in some extreme situations so that you see, oh, that's not working. Got to come over here to what does work. And the ways this shows up is that either you might have a lot of scattered thoughts, a lot of like your brain's just going and going and going. You might share too much, or you might information overload yourself. And like, there's just this thing where, especially if you're being driven by either a belief that you're not capable or able to learn, to grow, that you're not allowed to have curiosity, or you're not like if you have Jupiter here and you believe that you have to have certainty, that you have to have the answer, that's going to set your Jupiter energy askew. It's going to be like, no. You are here to be continually exploring and gathering information and sharing what you have now. I wonder if Glennon Doyle has her Jupiter here, because she's a great example of somebody who like takes in information, shares information, and then says later, oh, this is how I would nuance that information, or now I believe this new thing. And she is an Aries, so she is here to experience that like failing, doing, and she does that, and she's a great example of that. But there's also like this sense of like gathering information, sharing the information, but not having like rigid certainty around it. That is not going to vibe for this Jupiter Gemini placement. And so when you allow yourself to share without having all the answers, just sharing from where you are now, and to be able to allow yourself to explore with curiosity and excitement and keep learning those things that you're drawn to, this is when I bet you'll start seeing some easefulness show up in your life, some natural, and like also this is like when you'll notice like some clarity in your thought processes might happen too, which is nice. That might be real nice. yeah, I just think like definitely be writing, definitely be journaling. Vlogging could be great, especially if your Mercury is in, um, well, any, especially if Mercury is an air sign. I think that could probably indicate talking, literally like vlogging, doing something like what I'm doing here could be really beneficial. Um, Also, if Jupiter is here and you don't live in your truth, I think this is when we'll see like you might lose your voice, literally, or you might experience writer's block or something like that. Like you have to allow yourself to, I mean, you don't have to. I would say, based on how I read charts, that if your Jupiter is in Gemini or the third house, allowing yourself to believe that you are worthy and even here to, like, called to live in the truth of, I'm here to learn. I'm here to learn, and that's okay. Like, I don't have to have all the answers. To allow yourself to follow your curiosity. Yeah, I love that. In terms of style, one of the things I'd say is that if you feel like, if you have Jupiter and Gemini, I don't think that you're here to land on something that's like, this is my style signature. Look, this is what I'm going to have forever. This is me. Like, you're just remain in the curiosity, remain in the openness, remain in like the keep exploring what's fun and new, and allow that information to be absorbed and then shared through your style. And don't get hung up on getting to an answer. Like, you're going to have, it's like you're following breadcrumbs, and every once in a while you'll get to a destination that's really, really cool, but it's not going to be the final destination. You still have more breadcrumbs to follow, more things to go explore and pursue in terms of knowledge, and then implementation, and then sharing, and allowing yourself to know, like, when you land at a place, like, it's not the final place. It's just going to be cool, and it's going to be fun, and then when you learn something new, that's going to expand what you know. And I think that this is when there'll be I just think so many Gemini people in general, but certainly if you have Jupiter here, like, you are not here to get stuck in like an answer. That's not going to work for you in this life. You're here to be exploring and expanding, and not like just accumulating knowledge and learning, and making sure you share it in some format. Please let me know if you are in fact sharing information and you have your Jupiter here. I would love to know what you're up to, because that sounds really fun. Anything else about style I want to say here? Yeah, just keep being open to your curiosity with your style. I think that might be like a foundational way you could just approach getting dressed every day, like letting curiosity be a real friend for you. So, okay, let's go into Jupiter in Cancer, or the fourth house. Whew. This is a Jupiter that their life philosophy is going to be something along the lines of, I belong to myself, and everyone deserves to belong. Whether it's to their own story, to themselves, and to also like experience emotional safety and emotional nurturing. I think that if you have Jupiter in Cancer, the fourth house, this is when you will really look like that not stereotypical, more of those traits that get associated with like that mothering Cancer type, like you, in like in a world perspective, like every child deserves to be taken care of. Every person deserves to belong. That's going to be like a really core way that a Jupiter in the fourth house or Cancer will operate. And I think that Jupiter in the fourth house in particular is, if you don't believe that you belong, things are going to go a little like, this is when we'll start seeing extremes. And those extremes could look like overprotecting yourself or getting emotionally overwhelmed, or even like wanting to protect everyone else and not taking care of yourself at all, because again, like there's this sense of like you don't belong to yourself. Maybe you have some worthiness issues around feeling like you are safe and emotionally nurtured and taken care of. And so we'll start seeing some like behaviors that go to those opposites, because again, Jupiter wants to direct you to your truth, and it will do that by any means necessary. That's like, this is why I tell people, if you come to me and you say, hey, Delian, I lost all my money, I'm going to go look and see what's going on with Jupiter. And if you come up to me and you're like, Delian, I won all of this money, I'm going to go look and see what's going on with Jupiter, because Jupiter works in extremes. Those like out of nowhere, those left field sort of things that happen in our lives, like those are Jupiter things. And it's because Jupiter is going, okay, they've gone too far off the path. They're too far off the path. We've got to do something and swing them back towards middle. And so when we're not living in accordance to what the core philosophy is of our particular Jupiter sign, I think this is when we start noticing the big drift, and Jupiter will do something to like, and to bring us back to center. So the core philosophy, full stop, for Jupiter in Cancer or the fourth house is you belong to yourself. I belong to myself. I belong. I'm worthy of belonging. I'm worthy of emotional safety. I'm worthy of being mothered and being cared for in that really deep emotional way. And also like worthy of emotional connection. And this is also like the belief isn't just for you, but like for everyone. Everyone deserves this. And this is true for all of the Jupiter placements through all of the signs. Like the core philosophy isn't just one that you direct towards yourself. It is directed at yourself, but it's also something you believe is here for everyone. And I think this is the if you're a teacher, go and look at where your Jupiter is, because you're probably teaching from that place fundamentally. And at the end of this video, I will share where my Jupiter is and how I use it for myself. So if you have Jupiter in the fourth house or Cancer, and you notice that like your life doesn't feel easeful, there's a lack of abundance, or like you don't feel lucky, chances are you haven't yet done the work to live according to that philosophy that you are worthy of love and belonging. Sorry if that hurts. And so what you're here to then do is to hold on to that truth, because remember, Jupiter is the planet of truth. And it is true. You do belong. You are worthy of belonging. Everyone inherently is. And so therefore, when you hold on to that core philosophy, that core belief, I think this is when we start seeing the universe is going, oh yeah, okay, yeah, she gets it. He's like living in this truth now. Let's like life starts to flow energetically in a way that is more easeful, even if life is hard, because you're living in this foundational sense of truth that you're here, according to how I read birth charts, to fully embody, which is very, very fun. What else do I want to say about this one? In terms of style, if you're getting dressed, if like, let's just say that you've done all of the work, you've gotten all of the tests, you know your face essence, you know your style roots, you know your body type, like all of the things, and your style still isn't working. Chances are this is the thing you've got to do. You've got to do some inner work around belonging to yourself, that you are here, you are worthy of feeling that emotional safety, that emotional nurturance. And also, like, when you put on an outfit, do you feel like you belong to yourself? And I do think you can use style to help you with this. And I also think you can use style to push you towards a deeper sense of this truth. So I'll share two examples. One is like you could get dressed literally, and when you put on your outfit, you go, okay, do I feel like I belong to myself? Does this outfit help me feel more loving and emotionally safe? Amazing. That's a really good indicator that this outfit probably is working for you. And also, you might sometimes know that there's a style that you really want to embody, that you know, like you have like this sense of like, oh, this is something that I want as a part of my personal style. Like, you know, it's something that's even a part of you, but you don't quite have access to it yet, probably because you still have some work to do around this sense of feeling like you belong to yourself, that you're worthy of love and belonging. You can use style to slowly move yourself more towards that. So let's just say that you believe you have an aesthetic in your head of like like, of course, now all aesthetics just drop out of my head. Let's say mermaid core. Mermaid core is like an aesthetic you really like are drawn to. You really know that this is like something you want to implement, but you feel like it's out there. It's not like quite what you are comfortable with yet. And again, I think that if your Jupiter is here in Cancer, the fourth house, it could be because you don't have that full sense of self-belonging yet. I would not say go full on into mermaid core aesthetic. I don't think your nervous system is going to do very well with that. Instead, get the smallest little thing from the mermaid core aesthetic and bring it into your style. It could be like a tiny little iridescent nail polish. It could be a sparkle to your eyeshadow. It could be I don't know, like a belt that like makes you think of scales. Like, it literally, let it be so tiny, and let yourself slowly use style to bring you more and more into that belonging that you know that you want to have for yourself, without going, I just wouldn't go to extremes. That's all I'll say about that. Okay. Let me know if you have Jupiter in the fourth house or Cancer. what resonates for you in terms of just your life in general, but also your style. I would love to hear. Okay, let's go into Leo in the fifth house. So if you have Jupiter and Leo or the fifth house, a part of your life philosophy is going to be about creativity, joy, playfulness. It's going to be, I am here to express my creativity. I am here to express my joy, my love of life. I do think that there's an element of being seen here, but I do not think it's about like being seen in terms of being showy. It's more of like, look at what I am expressing, and the love, the excitement, the playfulness, the joy that is a part of Leo qualities. And if you don't let yourself play, and you have Jupiter in Leo or the fifth house, Jupiter, it like that abundance flow is not going to be. I think this is when energy flow gets stuck, especially in terms of abundance and ease of life, that luck that so many of us like want to really have as a part of our lives. Go look at your Jupiter. If your Jupiter is in Leo or the fifth house, and you're not accessing this core truth of being able to play, to create, to express your joy, like that abundance flow is going to get stuck. And this is when we start seeing those extreme behaviors in ourselves or in life, especially with Jupiter transits. This is when you might start seeing like ego inflation. You might like have this constant sense of like needing validation, or like over expressing or under expressing. Like there's like the balance is lost. So, and what can happen sometimes too is like in your Jupiter journey, you may, if you go to so one of the things that can happen for us fun humans living our stories is like you get into your playfulness and your joy, but like it's new. Maybe you haven't done it before, and like you do it, and maybe you go like you do it too much at first because you're trying to like you don't yeah, it's like we don't know how to to find the balance yet. And so you try and you do a lot of creativity and a lot of playfulness and a lot of joyfulness, and suddenly like I'll share a story. So I was playing soccer when I was younger, and I am very competitive, and I also like cheering my teammates, and I happened to be on the sidelines waiting to go in, and I was like I don't know, I'm like 11 or 12 years old here. But I'm like screaming my head off, like cheering for my team. And a kid who was next to me, who was on my team, rolled his eyes at me and said, "Get over yourself," right? And I like instantly shut down. I was like, oh God, I was too far. That was too much. And now like he was a kid who was not allowed to express his creativity, his joyfulness, his playfulness. And I know so much of his life later. He's actually like one of the sweetest people and creative, fun, joyful, like, anyway, just interesting because I don't think he was allowing himself to have what I had, and so therefore was uncomfortable with me having it. But what can happen is that I was expressing all of this joy, this playfulness, and I don't think I was actually doing it to an extreme. But let's just say that I was going like, I was like, this was new, it's exciting, I'm going crazy, and I get some kind of reaction like that. What my initial reaction might be is like, okay, I can never do that again. Shut it all down. It's like, no, we don't want to do that. It's like, it's okay if we, like Jupiter is going to be like, okay, so there's too much. I'll tell you when it's too much. There's too little. That's not like suffering, and is just kind of this interesting gauge for us to like recalibrate. And if we can look at it from that perspective, then it doesn't become, I should say, pain, like those pings of like, oh, okay, that's not quite working. So how can I nuance? What is this trying to teach me? Is when we avoid suffering. Suffering is when we get stuck in the pain and we create a story around the pain that is a narrative of leaning more into like, I'm not worthy of being creative, or I'm not allowed, my joy is not allowed, or I can't be loved and accepted and also be self-expressive, right? So again, notice that your life philosophy is about being able to be playful, to be creative, to be able to express your joy. And that at times, when you lean into that, you may get feedback that feels like, I don't know what to, like, that may make you want to shut down. That's what I'm talking about. Like, it may make you want to shut down. Just realize that that's an opportunity potentially to be able to say, okay, I want to shut down and say, we're never touching that again. When in reality, it's more like, okay, where can I find balance? Or again, maybe that person was just uncomfortable with your joy. Maybe that person has their own things that they're going through. I know what I'm trying to get to here. We have, as human beings, we create stories. We are the stories we tell ourselves. And one of the things that we may do is, if you're not living in alignment with your Jupiter core philosophy, and you don't feel like you are worthy of expressing your joy and your creativity and being seen, and you get feedback back, like I was sharing in that story, your initial reaction might be like, okay, shut that down. When in reality, being able to step back and say, okay, the story that I want to knee-jerk reaction create is to say something's wrong with me, or that, yeah, see how that's not actually allowed? When in fact, you can just look and go, okay, wait a minute. The story I want to believe and the philosophy I'm here to hold on to is that I'm here to play and to create and to be joyful. And that person or these experiences don't necessarily indicate that I'm not allowed to have that. And I think that's important. I think that's important for all of us to remember, is that our translation of events isn't always true, especially if we are not holding our core principle and the narrative that is healed. And this is stuff I talk a lot about with the Enneagram videos. So if this is interesting to you, definitely go check out the Enneagram series I did. In terms of style, if you have Jupiter in Leo or the 5th house, you are here to be playful and to be expressive and joyful. And if your style isn't allowing for that, that's when you can be like, oh, okay, that's why this isn't clicking. That's why this isn't as easeful as it might be. Because you, again, let's just say, and this happens, right? So if you're part of the style groups and you've watched the style videos, and your Jupiter placement is not one of your top 3, it's not for most of us. But you're still trying to figure out, like, why is my style not like clicking? And this is why I think Jupiter might be more important than Venus in terms of being able to understand our style system or our style structure signature. It's because if you're not living according to your Jupiter core philosophy, I think this is when we start feeling real stuck, including in style. And so just make sure, are you letting yourself be playful? Even if the Jupiter placement is not one of your top 3 placements, it's still going to be a fundamental way of being able to understand your philosophy for your style. And playfulness, creativity, being expressive is going to be a part of that, which is really fun. I think that's lovely. I think that we need more of this in life in general, because I think that joy and playfulness and creativity is one of the most vulnerable experiences. And I think that a lot of us are uncomfortable with it. And the more people who really lean into this energy, like when you live in it, like you're teaching us how to do it too. And it's spectacular. It's so nice. Okay. Yeah, let's go into Virgo and the 6th house. So Virgo with the 6th house, Jupiter. Jupiter here, the philosophy is going to be something around being practical, improving, maybe even simplifying, but like there's this healing quality that's like really like practical and can be implemented. I think that Virgo has like a lot of how can we take care of our bodies? How can we take care of this vessel that we're living in this lifetime? And so a lot of Jupiter with Virgos, I think it's always tricky to talk about body stuff. I think that if you have Jupiter in Virgo, the likelihood that you are here to treat your body with true nourishment is a big part of your lesson. Like I think that something along the lines for Virgos, a Jupiter Virgo 6th house, especially 6th house, but Virgo as well, is something like you are here to nourish your body, to love your body, to be connected and loving on a very practical level with this thing that we're inhabiting in this lifetime. And I think if you're not living in accordance to that life philosophy, and as I've been saying for all of the signs, like when Jupiter is a teaching planet, when you embrace your core philosophy, this is when you're like a natural teacher in this area. And so like you give us permission to also honor our bodies and to nourish our bodies when you step into this space. And you probably do it with like real awareness of like what your body needs in order to thrive. And when you don't live in that, with that core philosophy as a foundational way you're moving through life, this is when we might start seeing some real issues around physical perfectionism, over analyzing your body, or over taking care of everybody else and ignoring your body entirely. So again, because Jupiter works in extremes, and the extremes are just saying like, this is what's not working. Let's make sure you understand what's not working here so that you get funneled into the core philosophy that I think you're here to embrace. And as you embrace your core philosophy, I think this is when life feels easeful and energy flows. And if your Jupiter is in Virgo, you're here to practically nourish and love your body. I think that a lot of like personal trainers or people who like do cooking, like nourishing cooking type of like YouTube videos and channels and stuff like that, I bet you a lot of them have Jupiter in Virgo or the sixth house. But there is something here about really practically saying like, my body is worthy of being nourished and loved. Oh, I love that. I think because we have so many damaging messages out there around our bodies, that when a Jupiter Virgo really embraces this, like the rest of us are just like, oh my God, this person has like I'm gonna fall, like I need to know what they're teaching because so many of us need it. And so I think that there's a lot of health-mindedness that shows up with a Jupiter and Virgo. And definitely check out where because for most of y'all, it's not going to be Jupiter, Virgo, and the sixth house. It'll be Jupiter, Virgo, in another house or vice versa. So definitely check out like the flavor of the room for your Jupiter with this Virgo, because it'll give a lot of insight. But I'm just so excited because I'm like, yay, Jupiter and Virgos, we need you. And again, like I do think I want to share a lot of compassion for this particular placement, because I think it's very possible that you get so much anti-messaging around your Virgo Jupiter that you might be someone who could be very prone to like hyper perfectionism with your body, or super burnout with your body. I am going to ignore my body and I'm just going to work. And there's something really beautiful about when you step into taking care of like having that core philosophy of going, my body is something I am here to honor and cherish and take care of and nurture. And I have so much emotion over this one, guys, because I think we need it. I think that this world really needs the Jupiter Virgo energy, and I love it. And in terms of style, like your body has a say in what you're dressing. I talk about this a lot in the style sections for these astrology things for Virgos in particular, but like a lot of the lesson is like practicality is allowed. Being like taking care of your body is a part of how you're going to approach style. And again, Jupiter might not be in a part of those three main areas of your chart, but if your Jupiter is in Virgo, you are here to truly honor and nourish your body, and noticing what that is when you're approaching your style is going to be a big deal. So again, I'm saying this over and over, but like, if let's just say you have Capricorn, Scorpio, and Cancer as your top three, but Jupiter is here in Virgo, and you're like, well, I have, let's just say your style roots are moon, mountain, and fire. And you're like, I want to wear high heels and drapey shirts and blazers, and like I'm sensual and like all of these things, and like you're wondering, and all of it works for you. It's like, it's your style is literally fire. It's awesome, and yet you're still feeling like there's this part of you that's like it's not clicking yet. And your Jupiter is here in Virgo, or the sixth house. There's an element around your core philosophy about also really taking care of your body and nurturing your body and making sure that that's somehow being influenced in your style. And I would bet that this is when your style might really click for you. So let me know if that's something that you're experiencing as you're moving through your style journey. And what else do I want to say? Yeah, there's just going to be a big part of like doing some work around knowing that your body is a vessel to be loved and cherished, practically taken care of. And when you really step into that space, you start inspiring and teaching all of us to do the same. And I love it. I love it so much. Okay. Definitely let me know. Let me know what you think if this is your placement. I would love to hear your story. And let's move on into Jupiter and Libra, or the 7th house. So Jupiter and Libra in the 7th house. I think that Jupiter likes being here. I don't know why I think Jupiter really likes being a part of the air signs. That's something I'm just now thinking about. But Jupiter in Libra is going to be like a core philosophy and truth is going to be around equality, around like harmony and justice. And there's this, I know that Libra gets associated with beauty and art, and I think that's true because I think that beauty and art are worth fighting for. I think that when beauty and art are thriving, it's usually because equality is also thriving. That's just a hot take I have. But if your Jupiter is here, then chances are that you are here to believe in your own equality, first of all, to embrace that you are here to advocate for beauty and truth and harmony for yourself and others. And I think that what can happen is especially if you don't believe that you have equality, that you are equally deserving of, potentially human basics, which, by the way, if that's the case, that's something that a lot of us get messaging around. Like, true equality is something we are fighting for, that we are having to learn in ourselves and unlearn so much in ourselves, because there's so much messaging that's just like the air we breathe that tells us that there's like, this is just something we're grappling with in a big way. And so if your Jupiter is here and you don't have that sense of feeling like equal or enough, or that you have rights just as you are, first of all, tons of compassion for you. We all get like plenty of messaging that is the case in some form or another. And second, if you're not living in that space, the extreme behaviors we might see is something like people pleasing, or avoiding conflict, or fighting and advocating for others at your own expense. Like, there's also this sense of like you have to be a part of the equation here. This is something that we see for Virgos, Libras, and Scorpios quite a bit, because we're over here on the descendant part of the chart. But yes, like making sure you're not sacrificing yourself while also not holding on to that belief that you are worthy of the equality that you're fighting for. So like something I could see here is like a Jupiter Libra might be like, I am going to put my whole life on the front line for this group of people that are worthy of equality. And like, it's totally true that they are, but you are also worthy of having like love and beauty and pleasure in your life as well. And so I think I heard this first from Glennon Doyle. So she's getting 2 mentions in this video so far. And it was about doing a lot of the work in just our political climate right now, but like just with people in general. And like, when you have all of these people, like if you're working really hard and advocating, like, and spending a lot of your energy, and she was like, how do we not get burned out? How do we make sure that we're still taking care of ourselves? Because when we don't take care of ourselves, we're actually less effective. And it was and I cannot remember for the life of me who she's quoting somebody in this, but so if you know who I'm talking about, please tell me. let that put that in the comments. But it's essentially like in the morning. Oh, I'm not even going to remember. It's like we work, we fight, and in the evening we dance. It was like there was a balance of being able to, like, you still need celebration, you still need joy, you still need connection and love in your life. And so that's just one of the extremes I can also see with Jupiter and Libra, is that you don't actually treat yourself with equality, because you're spending your whole life fighting without bringing that sense of joy and connection and love into your own life. Like there's balance here, and Libra is about balance. And so Jupiter, I could imagine Jupiter here being like real finicky about you finding that balance. Let me know if you have Jupiter and Libra here and you're like, balance? What is that? And it's just like maybe something that feels somewhat elusive at times. But once you land in it, I bet you it feels pretty great. But certainly like a core philosophy of like, we are all equal. You are equal. You have like the right to have justice and harmony and beauty and love and connection, and everyone else also has it too. And when you hold that belief for yourself, this is something that like you teach us how to do it as well, and it's brilliant, it's beautiful. Yeah, it's like being your own best advocate is going to be a big deal for you in this lifetime. And I'm really sorry if that's hard, because I can imagine that it is. But it's also like, I bet you too that for Libra, Jupiter and Libra at the 7th house, like the thing that you're also learning how to do is like advocating for yourself without burning all of the bridges necessarily. Like I bet you have like a lot of charm. I bet you're very charming. And I love that for you. But yeah, making sure that you are putting yourself in the equation of believing in your own sense of worth and your own sense of deserving of that peace. And when it comes to your style, I bet you that you're probably somebody who's like really good at seeing like what works for everyone else. And you're like, why can I figure it out for myself? And it's like, well, maybe it's something where you are like, all of that energy you give to other people, maybe you're also here to learn how to receive some of that from others. And so maybe it's like okay for you to like hire somebody, or like allow other people's perspective to help influence you and figuring it out. And like Libra is a lot about the give and take energy, right? Relational, being able to connect. And so finding people that really make you feel worthy of love and belonging and beauty and justice, like that you feel when you're around them, like, yes, I know that they have my back. Letting them influence your style to a certain extent, because we are our own blind spot a lot of the time. Like we often don't know what works for us. And so I could see this as being something that could be helpful in your style journeys. And if you're not already a part of like the Facebook style groups, like go check them out. There's some really, really good ones where people are really great. So if that's interesting, leave it in a comment and I'll let you know some of the ones that I find really, really helpful. Okay. Anything else I want to say here? Yeah, make sure that you're bringing like beauty into your life. Like understand what feels beautiful to you. And in terms of style and your life in general, letting yourself believe you're worthy of having beautiful things that make you feel peace is probably going to be a big deal for you. And I think that Jupiter and Libras really, really, really want to find, like, to me, I think that this is the person who like wants to find that one true love kind of thing. And I think that's great. I understand that entirely. That might just be a big part of your life path and beautiful. And also make sure that you are your one true love as well. And when you step into that energy, you might notice more of like a natural ease and flow and abundance in your relationships in general. So, okay. Let's talk about Jupiter in Scorpio, or the 8th house. So the life philosophy for Scorpio or eighth house is going to be along the lines of, I am here to understand the depths and to transform. So Scorpio and the eighth house is the reason that Scorpio wants to understand all of these depthful things is that they want to use the information in order to grow and to change and transform. Like, that's what it's about. I'll be doing a Pluto video here soon, so I'll be talking about that quite a bit. But the information, that depth of the desire to understand the depths of the psychology of how we operate, how we work, and how other people work, it's not just to know. It's to utilize the information in order to transform. And so Jupiter here is going to be like, okay, the core philosophy is that I'm here to understand my depths in order to transform into a more abundant person. And by abundant, I mean like whole, centered, like, and to realize this is going to be a cycle. Like, you're not just going to go through one transformation. It's like continual. I think that Jupiter and Pluto and Scorpio and the eighth house are the two particular planets that are going to intensify this quite a bit. And those are the people who are going to be like, they have, like, you feel like you go through like 9 versions of yourself in your life. And that's just a part of the life experience you're here to have. But I do think that if you are not allowing yourself to believe that you are here to explore your inner depths, there's going to be a disconnect in your life. This is when we're going to start seeing some extremes, like, and some of those shadow sides of the signs show up. So for Jupiter and Scorpio or eighth house, this is when we're going to see some more obsession qualities, might control or having power over, or having emotional extremes, like just like over, like it's like dumping out your intensity or like channeling your intensity to the point of like potential destruction. Because again, Scorpios are intense. Like, that's just how it goes. Like the lots of powerful feelings happening here. And so the core philosophy is like, you're here to explore truth through depth in order to transform. So depth to find the truth, to transform, and then cycling through that. And if you don't allow that core philosophy to be a foundational part of how you're moving through the world, this is when we're going to see those shadow side extremes. So that, because Jupiter wants to go to extremes in order to bring you back to your center, so that you understand, okay, yeah, this doesn't work. Because if we experience, like, if it's an annoying pain, sometimes we'll like move through that for like a long time. And Jupiter is like, nah, we're going to be efficient here. we're going to go to like the opposite end of the spectrum, so that you understand how much this doesn't work, so that we can bring you back to center. That's how I read it. And when you live in the core philosophy of your Jupiter placement, this is when I think we see abundance and ease, even when life is hard, happen a little bit more. That's just when it starts flowing. And again, like, there's something too about Jupiter in Scorpio, the eighth house. It's like there is some stuff around believing that you will be held through all of these deep, dark emotions you might have. Like, you are worthy of being held. You are worthy of having somebody be with you during these deep, dark, intense, transformational cycles. And that, like, that you probably have a lot to share in this regard. That there's some truths that you have discovered that, like, some of us need to hear. And check out where your full Jupiter placement is. So if it's like in Scorpio and also in Gemini, the third house, like, then you're probably here to share that stuff in some form. which I love. I love that. I also think like there's an element of showcasing how it's okay to be different, or even like the taboo things that, like money and sex, like these are things that like Jupiter and Scorpio are going to be like, okay, we need to transform how we think about these things, people, because these are just normal things that we experience that we have created social issues around. So how about we debunk those myths so that we can be in our full power, our full sensuality, our full embodied human experience. Like that's a lot of what Scorpio energy is here to do. And if your Jupiter is here, it's going to be like, that's a core philosophy that you're here to embrace and to have foundational as a part of your life. And as you live in that truth for yourself, you end up teaching it to us. And I think the universe gifts us with, again, that sense of abundance and ease when we step into our Jupiter truth. So, but we're going to test this out. Everybody can tell me what their experience is as we continue doing the work on it. In terms of style, I think that if your Jupiter is here in Scorpio, you have to know your deep, dark inner feelings in order for your style to make sense to you fully. Again, it's likely that Jupiter is not a part of your top 3 energies as I read the charts for style stuff. But if you don't have this core truth of knowing that you are allowed to have the expanse of depth that is inside of you, and that you are still worthy of love and belonging, and that you are allowed to have power and sensuality and sexuality and to continue transforming through all of this information that you gather about yourself and about how you work and how you operate. If you don't have that as a core belief, I think your style might feel a bit stagnant. That you may have like all of the systems in place and that you know exactly what works for you, but because you're not allowing yourself to potentially experience some more of this depth of who you are, that might lead to, again, you might be obsessive about your style. You might be a little controlling, or maybe your emotions are making it so that it's hard for you to land on something because your emotions are like yelling too loud for you to like pay some attention. And Jupiter and Scorpio wants you to pay attention without letting your emotions rule you. They're just information, but they'll get louder and louder the more you ignore them. That's just kind of how it works. And I should not just say ignore them, because I think some of us can listen to our emotions a lot, but not do something that like helps take care of them. So for instance, if your emotions are saying, I'm scared, and you're like, I hear you, but then you don't do something to like help them feel less scared. Like, we need to not just have awareness or even acceptance, we also need to have some authorship. We need to do something. And if you have Jupiter and Scorpio, I would not be surprised if you like internal family systems. That might be something interesting to explore. And anything else? Yeah, I like that. I think that that's good. Let me know in the comments what you think about this. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Okay, Jupiter in the 9th house in Sagittarius. Jupiter rules Sagittarius in the 9th house. It's at home here. And that, to me, means that especially if you don't live in your core truth, Jupiter is going to have some stuff to say. This is like when I think we'll see some like real extreme behaviors, because the core philosophy for a Jupiter in Sagittarius, or the 9th house, is going to be truly letting yourself be free to explore, free to like travel. And that could be literally and figuratively. You could travel through topics, you could travel through experiences, and like, but there is something about being able to explore, being allowed to be free. And if you don't let yourself have that freedom with Jupiter in the 9th house or Sagittarius, this is when we start seeing blind faith. escapism or even dogmatism, like like I have the truth kind of behavior. Because if you don't let yourself live in this, I'm here to explore and understand lots of perspectives, and even let the truth be something that's like a multifaceted diamond where you're never going to see all of it, but that you're going to keep exploring more and more and more and more and more of it. Like, that's the journey of the Jupiter in Sagittarius. And this is why in our culture as it stands, this is not something that's really well accepted. We worship certainty in a lot of different areas. We love knowing the answers. That's like how our educational system is built. This is like a lot, I could go on and on. And this is like Sagittarius energy. Sagittarius is all like, hey, I'm going to teach, but I'm going to teach from an exploration type of energy. It is not about having the answer. It is more like science. It's like we're continually adjusting and nuancing and exploring and figuring out and letting the information guide our truth versus landing in some place and never moving, even when information says something opposite. And so I think that if you have Jupiter in Sagittarius, this is just like a little bit of a hot take, that if you don't hold on to that value and that core belief of going, the truth is something to continually explore versus something to land on, this is when we start seeing cult-like behavior show up. This is when we might see somebody who like wants to rigidly hold on to a belief system without being open to information as it shows up. And I'm not like, having a belief, I think, is really wonderful. I think I think religion can offer a lot of community, but I think when it becomes rigid is when we start seeing issues. And if you have a Sagittarius Jupiter or ninth house and you don't allow for that explorative kind of energy, this is when you might be more seduced by something that's like, I have the answer. And you're like, great, good. And so you're here to really let yourself be like, it's not about having the answer. It's about exploring for the answer and teaching from the experience I have now. And for some reason, I'm bringing up Glennon Doyle a lot today, but like she does this. And I mentioned this for the Gemini placement because there's some similarities here because of the explorative type of value system for Gemini and Sagittarius. But Sagittarius, Glennon Doyle has done this where she experiences a bunch of things. She shares the truth that she has based on that experience, how it helped her, what she learned, yada, yada, yada. And then as she gained more information and understanding of herself, nuanced or totally changed what she believed or her approach or her truth, right? And it's not to say that at that time, that truth that she had, that again, it's like truth is a multifaceted diamond. She was seeing a part of a diamond. She was seeing some truth, but as she gained more and more facets, she was able to expand it and to be able to say, oh, this is why this wasn't quite right. This is more and more. And this is the journey of a Jupiter in Sagittarius. You are not here to land on something. You are here to continue exploring something and still teach and share from that explorative stance. And I understand that our society does not necessarily make that easy, but it's even why it's more important for people who have Jupiter and Sagittarius to really show us what it's like to live in this. And I believe that when you do, life will start to flow. But certainly like rigid certainty is going to be where your energy force will start getting, I think, stopped up, gummed up kind of thing. In terms of style, I would say that you might be the kind of person who's like, who may really understand your style in terms of what works based on style systems. Sagittarius love to explore different things. So if you're interested in style, chances are you know all of the style systems. Chances are you understand like your body type, your color season, so forth and so on. And I would bet you that you don't fit perfectly into any of them, that there's just something that's like not quite like totally making sense. And that's because whether or not that part is in particular is true, but you aren't here to fit into a system. You are here to explore, use what works, and continue exploring. And so if you notice that your style is like not working for you, it's probably because if your Jupiter is here, that you're not letting yourself keep learning and exploring, that you like landed on something and you're like, okay, my color season is soft summer. And even though you start learning more about like, oh yeah, maybe like I was a soft summer, but I could only do the deep colors. And maybe now it's like there's this information coming out about like soft winter being a thing. And like a lot of like some people who like are sharing how soft winter is like essentially if you get called a deep summer, then you're soft winter. But you're like, no. I want to believe, like, I want to hold on to like the soft summer. Like, no. Like you are here to like explore. Maybe soft winter is the thing for you. And then you start exploring that. And then you start exploring like, oh wait, what about the fact that there are no style seasons for, or color seasons for people who are neutrals? Like, what about the scales? Like, maybe you don't fit into something perfectly, and therefore you have to create your own and like keep exploring and keep expanding based on the information that keeps showing up. And that's wonderful. Like, it's exciting. And if you let yourself get stuck in something instead of continually adapting based on the new information, you are going out and exploring, because that will be important for your life philosophy, that you are here to continue exploring. That might be why your style might feel a little stuck, your style/life, because as you probably can already tell, I think that they are one and the same. Okay. What else do I want to say about this? Yeah, I just think that if you have Jupiter in Sagittarius, a lot of people will be like, oh, that's the luckiest position. And you're like, wow, fine, whatever. That's not been my experience, unless you haven't yet fully embraced the Jupiter message for you as a Jupiter in Sagittarius, which is to be in that explorative mode. And I think that Jupiter is going to be extra for you in the extremes if you're not letting yourself live in that sense of exploration and freedom, because it's like, I'm not letting you get away with this. So that's just my hot take there. All right, let's move into Jupiter and Capricorn, or the 10th house. Love. Okay, so Capricorn, Jupiter, 10th house, is all about systems and structure and duty and long-term visions and working hard. And I think that if your Jupiter is here, that you are here to embrace and learn how to develop discipline for freedom. Because remember, Jupiter is not about stagnation. It's not about rigidity. It is about, we just talked about it in Sagittarius, right? It's the ruler of Sagittarius. And think about what Sagittarius means. It means freedom. It means finding your own philosophy and continuing to expand that based on the experiences you have. There's no stagnation with Jupiter. It's like the antithetical energy of Jupiter. And Capricorn is about systems. It's about discipline. It's about working hard. And that can, for a lot of us, sound like rigidity, but it's not. Systems, and even more so, I like thinking of Capricorn as like the queen earth goddess. And it's like, she's here to develop rituals, to develop steadiness, to develop structures so that we can feel freedom, so that we can feel success, right? Success is a type of freedom. And so if your Jupiter is here, you are here to learn how to have joyful discipline. There's a term in yoga, and I'm not going to remember what it is. And I'm a yoga teacher. And it was like my favorite lesson. I can't believe I can't remember it, but it's essentially like the tenet of having joyful structure, being able to work hard from a place of spaciousness and openness. And I really needed that. I don't have Jupiter in Capricorn. I'll talk about what my Jupiter situation is at the end. But this is still something that I really had to, and still I'm having to work on, is like this paradox of learning what it means to create systems for freedom, not to create systems for the sake of systems, which can, again, if you're not embracing the Jupiter Capricorn philosophy, which I think is finding your freedom through structures, this is when we're going to start seeing like overwork, rigidity. We're going to start seeing like I can only rest and have freedom when I have worked myself to the bone, right? But really what's happening is like, because Capricorn is about mastery. Capricorn is about working on something and being so disciplined to the point of being like the best at it. It takes time. If you've got a lot of Capricorn energy in your chart, chances are like you get the benefits of your Capricorn stuff later on in life because it takes time. And Jupiter here is like mastery creates freedom. Discipline and mastery creates that sense of success and excitement for life. And when you start creating structures for yourself that are giving you freedom, they may not always feel like freedom in the moment. Like you may need to get 8 hours of sleep every night, and every night comes along and you're like, I don't want to have to go to bed at this time. It feels too early. Well, you know, in the moment it doesn't feel like freedom, but in the long term, it does create freedom. And this is the paradox of Jupiter and Capricorn. I love it, Jupiter and Capricorn, because I think this is just something that rings really true for my soul in particular, something that I'm here to really understand and develop for myself. And if again, I keep talking about how Jupiter creates extremes in order to wake us up, right? Because it wants to wake us up to our truth. And I think we can start discovering what our truth, our core, that North Star philosophy we're here to live by, shows up in what our Jupiter energetic blueprint is in our chart. And for Jupiter and Capricorn, it's like if you're not creating structures that give you more freedom, but instead, or like it can even be a belief of worthiness thing. So like, do you feel like you're worthy of freedom? Do you feel like you're worthy of discipline? Sometimes it could be the opposite, right? Maybe you don't feel like you're capable or that you have what it takes. And if that's the case, if you're living in a narrative that is the opposite of your core truth of your Jupiter sign, then this is when we're going to start seeing those like either throwing systems out the window, like nothing works for me, or getting like really controlling and really rigid and like overworking. Then we'll see that. But both of those things, those extreme reactions are happening from this not living in that core truth of discipline and freedom are actually something you are co-creating together. And I want to know about all of your systems. If you have figured this out, you need to message me because I need you. And that's the thing. Jupiter also tells us what we're here to teach, what we're here. And it doesn't always mean like you're actually going to become a teacher in that thing, right? It means that by embodying this message, you automatically show us and teach us how to do it. But I actually need you. So please message me. Okay. In terms of style, this is the person who could either over rely on the style systems or toss them out and keep going back and forth. And it's like, you're here to make sure, like, I think that following a system is actually going to be really helpful for you. And maybe it's rituals, maybe it's things like having, what are they called? Like standard outfit templates. Like templates could be really, really beneficial for you as long as they also have the sense of freedom in it. So you might experience something like either I can only be free or I can only have structure. and in terms of your style. And this is what's fun. Like, you may have been overlooking Jupiter this whole time in your style journey, and maybe you were looking at your Venus. And don't get me wrong, I think Venus does share some cool stuff about our style, but I think Jupiter shares way more about why we might be stuck, because Jupiter will show us that we are stuck if we're not living in our truth. And that core philosophy that I think we're here to embrace. And so for you, it's about being able to embrace the systems that give you more freedom. And if that means creating templates, creating rituals and routines, knowing the things that work for you and that you like, that like maybe you know your color season and you're like, you know what, I love my color season, but I also love these other colors. So you're going to create your own template that works for you, for your color, the colors that you're going to use for your wardrobe. So it's like getting mastery over your style is something that's going to give you more freedom. It's like one of those things, when you know the rules, you can break the rules. But if you don't know the rules, you can't break the rules, because then you don't know why. And that's something that I would see for this particular situation for somebody in their own style journey. So let me know if that tracks. Okay, let's move on into Jupiter in the 11th house in Aquarius. Okay, so the core truth for a Jupiter in Aquarius is going to be something along the lines of, I am unique. And my uniqueness has something to offer humanity, like to serve humanity as a whole. And that could be like, that could show up in certain communities. It could literally show up as something you invent that helps the world, but it is your uniqueness offers goodness for humankind, for the world. And if you don't live in that core belief, this is when we're going to start seeing like detachment, rebellion for its own sake, or like being unique for the sake of being unique. But you're here to embrace that you are here to be part of something bigger, and that your unique qualities are something valuable to the collective. So this is when we start seeing somebody who really embodies their Jupiter truth, is somebody who's using their unique, you see your uniqueness, you see the qualities you have that only you have, right? You have things that nobody else has. And when you accept those things as a gift, and you go, and you also realize that they have benefits for the rest of us, you start showing up with like sharing your uniqueness. This is when you start creating community, creating innovative things that help others. You start lifting humanity up just by saying, hey, like when you embrace that sense of you are unique, and that uniqueness brings value, you tell all of us that we have the same thing, which I think Aquarians like really get, like at a core level. Like, we're all unique, and our uniqueness is like, our diversity is what creates a collective goodness for all of us. Like, please. And so if you have Jupiter here, that's a part of your core philosophy in life. And I'd be interested to know if this is like the things that I'm telling everybody about these, like if this is something you don't instinctually know is true for you in your life. Like, like when you lean into this energy and this truth, does life work better for you? Do things like just come out of nowhere and show up in your life, and you're like, how, like, I've been wanting that forever, and like now it's just here. And I think this is what Jupiter does. It gifts us like abundance and ease when we step into the core truth of our Jupiter placement. And on the opposite side, it will be like, dude, if you don't embrace your uniqueness, like these are the things that you're going to have to deal with in these extreme ways so that we can get you back on track. And like I said, that's going to be for a Jupiter in Aquarius in the 11th house. It's like either being a rebel for the sake of being a rebel, like flaunting your uniqueness without believing that it's worthy of lifting up humanity, or feeling like in order to be a part of community or the collective, you have to like dim your light. It's like, no, both of these things need to go together. You're here to be a bright light, to be your bright light. And by being that bright light, you encourage us to showcase our bright light. And then together, we all create a brighter light. That's a very simple metaphor, but that's exactly what I see for this placement. And you create, like, everybody has got fun ideas. Like, you have such unique, creative, cool ideas. And when you embrace those things, like when you embrace your unique qualities, this is when I think you'll start seeing that Jupiter start gifting you with like even like more opportunities, more fun ideas, probably a pretty cool community. Like this jazzes me up so much. I just think that we need this energy so badly. So yes, your core philosophy is something along the lines of your unique light is here to help all of us. And when you step into that, you give all of us permission and teach us how to do the same thing. And then everyone and everything gets better. So please do it. And let me know. Let me know what you think about that, if that rings true. And in terms of style, same thing goes. You have unique qualities. You have something quirky or different or interesting that probably needs to be incorporated into how you approach your style. And again, this might not be one of your main 3 positions. You may have Cancer, Leo, Virgo as your top 3. And you're like, that's like unique qualities. What are you talking about? It's like, but no, like you do have something that is just you that needs to be a part of your style. And maybe like, it could be even just you accepting that you're unique and valuable. And just the energy of that shifts how you show up in the world. And guess what our style also is? Our energetic expression. I can tell you, you can have the same outfit you could wear 2 different times, and it's the exact outfit, and yet both times you feel like a totally different person in it. And that is because a part of our styles also are energy. And that's something I'm going to be talking about more too in the future with videos. Okay. Anything else I want to say about this? One of the other extreme things that you might notice is that you may feel very lonely. And so realize if loneliness is something that you're experiencing, it may be just that information to be able to say, my uniqueness is valuable. And when you start living in that narrative, in that story, in that truth, I think that the universe, that the Jupiter energy really starts showing up for you in a very cool way. So, all right. Jupiter and Pisces in the 12th house. Okay, I think that Jupiter gets a little tricky here, actually. So Jupiter and Pisces, yeah, it's like Pisces is about divinity, connection, spirituality, love, connection to all living things. And like that love is this core tenet. And I think that what can happen with a Pisces Jupiter placement, I think it's one of the placements where Jupiter, like the extremes show up in big ways. Like you see it because Pisces is such a big energy, that Jupiter here like is also a big energy. And so out of all of the placements, I think that Jupiter in Sagittarius and Pisces is when like the extremes are really, like we really see them when we're not living in our truth. And so the truth is you are divine. You are divine. You are worthy of love, and everyone is worthy of love and connection to like this spiritual fantasy and dreams and ideals. Like that you are here to be connected to that love that you have for yourself, that divinity, and that sense of I belong to the universe, kind of whatever your version of that is. And I think that we live in a time where like this is a little like we don't have a lot of like real ideas of like how to do that in a way that seems healthy. So if you have figured that out, please leave that in the comments, because when we it's like you're here to find your truth is something along the lines of being in your truth and like surrendering to love, surrendering to this divinity, to like the dreams, being connected to your fantasies, and like there's a beautiful way that the world could be, that we all are, that Pisces and Jupiter like just naturally knows. And when it's like you have like a connection to the unseen here, and it's hard to put into words, but I will say that if you're not living in accordance to this core philosophy, that you are in fact divine, this is when we're going to start seeing potential extreme situations of like super escapism, or like there's no boundaries. Like this is somebody who might be pretty susceptible to like somebody saying that they have a spiritual truth, and that like, here, I have the spiritual answer for you, come with me. So like out of all of the types, I think that Jupiter in Sagittarius and Jupiter in Pisces are the most likely to like fall into like some possible cult-like things, or like somebody else has the answer, and that feels really safe. And so that's just something to be on the lookout for, because you're here to understand your own sense of divinity. You're here to develop through because remember, Jupiter is about exploration. It's not about landing on a truth. It's about exploring that truth through more and more and more experiences. And the experiences you're here to continue exploring is spirituality. And sometimes what can happen is like somebody will be like, I have the answer. I have the spiritual answer. And that can feel really enticing. And it's not going to work out if that's the path that you go, because you're here to, again, we don't want rigidity. We want expansiveness. Jupiter is expansive. It wants you to keep flowing. It doesn't want you to become stagnant. And that's really not going to work for Pisces either, because Pisces needs to flow, needs to be a part, it needs to be connected to love, to that sense of like, we're all connected. There's energy here that like is pure love. Like that's stuff that Jupiter and Pisces probably has like real sensitivity to. And first of all, I think that if you have Jupiter and Pisces, that having it, you may have other parts of your chart that allow for a lot of groundedness, in which case, great, maybe you don't need this. However, I do think that there's a high likelihood that having like some people in your life that are really grounded without being certain is going to be real helpful. Somebody who can go and explore with you. So it's almost like the person who can have like the string while you're the kite exploring, but you still want somebody holding a string. That's the metaphor that's coming to my mind. Let me know if this is your placement, if that's been your experience, because again, the extreme versions that show up with Jupiter, if you're not living in your truth, and by the way, we're not perfect human beings, we're not gonna do it all the time, is like, again, that escapism, dissolving of boundaries. Where do I end? Where do you begin? And somebody else who might have like a real, like it might be a Virgo or something, who has like a real clear sense of boundaries, might be really helpful for you in your life. And also having practices that are really like being ritual and grounded might be really helpful for you to be in contact with that sense of truth of connection to love, to everything, to your own divinity. And while you do that, having just like rituals you can explore on a daily basis through that, so that you have touch points without getting lost in it. Yeah, like let it be a practice, because I just see this as being a possible place where that those dissolving of boundaries and wanting to rely on somebody else that may have the truth is going to be something tricky. And so you want to be able to continue exploring your own truth without getting lost. And so you want to create boundaries for yourself through rituals so that you can continue to have access to this truth of you are connected to everything and to love and you are divine. So in terms of style, I think that if you don't have an element of divinity in your style and how you approach it, like a sense of love for yourself and for like life and people in general, like this is when your style might feel just a little bit stuck, a little bit like not feeling embodied yet, which I know is interesting, because I think that Jupiter in Pisces really wants to bring the fantasy into reality, like to bring this unseen truth that maybe some of us like have experienced at certain times. Like Jupiter wants to be like, yeah, it is true. It's like got a little bit of a Neverland quality. Like Jupiter in Pisces is like Peter Pan taking you to Neverland. Like that's a bit of it. That the energy that I see here. And so like there's a sense of mysticism, there's a sense of magic that might need to be incorporated into your style in order for it to feel fully like you. But let me know if that's the case for you. I'd love to hear. Okay. So now I'm going to talk about my Jupiter and how I use it. So I am one of those people that does have Jupiter in the same house and same sign. And this happens if you have an Aries ascendant. And like it's not always the case if you have an Aries ascendant that all of your houses and signs line up perfectly. Mine don't. But it just happens to be that my Jupiter is in Cancer and also the 4th house. So it's like just a double extra whammy. And it's something that I've been thinking about a lot lately, because that message for Cancers is that core truth is I belong to myself. I'm worthy of love and nurturing, and to have like that sense of emotional safety. And I, for a long time, haven't held on to that truth. And in fact, it's still quite difficult for me. I have a lot of squares and opposites to my Jupiter as well. So that's another element to think about when you're looking at your chart, is like, what are the other parts in your chart that may be amplifying it or making it so that there's a little bit of tension here, so that there's things that you need to work through on that. But my Jupiter in Cancer in the 4th house is absolutely something that recently I have been realizing more and more is absolutely a core thing I need to have as a part of how I approach my life, approach my style. Otherwise, I feel stuck. And I think that's what Jupiter does. It says, okay, you're going to be stuck, and that stuckness can look like extremes. And the more I embrace this, and it's real work, like I have to choose every day to use the narrative, the story of I do belong. I am worthy of love. I am worthy of taking care of my emotions, and really saying that I belong to me. And as I have been working on that, I have been noticing a sense of ease in my life. I have been noticing a sense of abundance in my life. And it's newer, this practice for me. So I'm excited to see, as I keep really leaning on this, what continues to occur. And I would love to know what your version is as well. Let's support each other on this very fun and often just just full of really good lessons. Journey. But yes, when I look at my Jupiter now and I see that it's offering me that core tenet of saying, live in the belief that I am worthy of love, that I'm worthy of belonging, that I belong to myself. This is when I've been seeing some really fun changes in my style. And by the way, it's the same exact outfits, but the way that I am energetically embodying them and feeling in them changes something. And this is why I want to, in some future videos, talk about how energy has something to do with our style story. And it's not just what we wear. And I'm excited to share some of that. I don't have all of the answers to it, but I am excited to share what I'm seeing and experiencing and my theories as of now. I would love to hear if you have any theories about it as well. But yes, so the practical work I am personally doing is taking my Jupiter placement and creating a mantra, that philosophy, and choosing to live in accordance to it as much as I can. I'm human. I don't do it all the time. I notice myself slipping constantly. But I do think that it's a really interesting practice that I'm already finding to be helpful. So I hope it's also something helpful for you as well, which is why I want to share it. And it is absolutely showing up in how I approach my style and how I feel in my style. And I feel like this has been like a missing piece, which is why I think that our Jupiter placement might have more to do with our personal style than our Venus, because of this core truth that I think we're here to embody, that I think would show up in how we approach our personal style signature. All right. I think that's it. I am so grateful for all of you. There's so many newbies here that showed up from this last video. I am blown away. I feel so grateful to all of you, and really excited about what's to come. And also, if this was valuable, I would love to hear from you. Please like, comment, subscribe. All of it's incredibly meaningful for this channel. And let's see, if this was interesting to you, I do have several other videos going through the planets in different signs and houses. Also, I do readings. So if you would like me to go through your chart, I'll have that in the description down below. And I'll see you in the next video. All right. Bye.